Hi, I'm Joe Puckett. Thanks for joining me for this edition. A dog viciously attacking your people at the entrance, being aggressive towards your people trying to come into your church. What are you going to do? Here's what happened at a church in Kansas City, Kansas. It was a New Year's Eve service. This husky dog right here was apparently loose, got loose from its home, its owner, and was at the church entrance in this Kansas City church. And the husky was described as acting viciously towards people arriving for the evening church service. And this was apparently just outside of the church. Just imagine what that would be like, though. And how would you deal with it? That's what I want to challenge us to think about that. Reports that dog continued to charge families coming into the church. And church employee finally goes out and decides that they are going to try to do something. Now, it's not the pastor. We're told for sure it's not the pastor of the church, but it's a church employee that goes out to check on the situation and see what they can do to handle that situation. When they get out there, the dog is still there and continued to be aggressive, apparently to this employee that went out to the front. And so the church employee shoots the dog, and the dog is deceased at that point. So, think about that. Man, how terrible is that? And don't just think about it for the church employee. That's bad. Think about the church or the dog owner, and then think about other families. That's the one thing I also want to remind us. Think about families that are there, hear the gunshot, see the dog shot, see what's going on. And I'm not being critical of this church. I just want to use this as a learning opportunity for us. What would we do? That's where I'm headed. Do we need to do this? Because there is lots of tragedy in this situation. The dog, I feel for the dog's owners. I really feel for our church folks, our families that might have been coming in at the time and saw this happen. And then, of course, for this church employee and even the church, I mean, for that matter, the church is probably getting some not so pleasant phone calls and some letters and that kind of thing. I'm just imagining. I don't know those facts for sure. So Kansas City, Kansas police do an investigation on this, and they ruled the church employee was justified in shooting the dog because that employee was fearful for their safety. So again, a tough situation. What would you and I do? That's what I'm here to do. We talk about church security topics. I'm here to challenge you in what you would do in this situation. Certainly, we probably need to look at some training in this area. Any of you that might have a dog show up, which could be almost any of us, if we have a stray dog show up, this could be in an urban area. We could have a dog that belongs to somebody downtown, maybe a homeless camper in the region, or if you're out in rural areas or in a city situation, even like this, dog gets loose from somebody. What are you going to do? And I think it's a valid question for us to look at. What are our options? Just to challenge you. Could we call the police before we do anything? Sure, but we may not have time to wait for the police. But calling and waiting, if we can, is always a good option. Let them show up and deal with it. If it's during the day, or maybe this city has nighttime animal control solutions. I don't know what that looks like there, but maybe during the daytime. In my area, they're not always that reliable. There's not a lot of them available. So animal control may not be a quick solution to this problem. Could we change the way people are entering the building just for the moment? Could we go out and meet people and say, could you go around to the back and go in the back? Could we go to the back parking lot? Let's redirect people to a different parking lot or a different area for parking for the moment. I know it's inconvenient, but is that something that we could do if we think about it ahead of time? I don't want to think about canceling services, but I mean, it's something for you to discuss. There's a possibility that might be an option. And then, of course, can we search for the dog's owner? Do we have enough time to do that? Especially if we can get people to use a different entrance. Can somebody go looking for the dog's owner, or a couple people? Do we have that option? And are there any other tools? And that's just stuff that I want to challenge you with. Are there some sprays that we could have available? Are there other tools? And I just want to get us thinking about this. Is a real event that actually occurred just a few days ago. And so I want to challenge you and get you thinking. If you go to church, if you're a church leader, if you're in church security or on the safety team, what are you going to do in that situation? And we probably need to start getting prepared for that situation. Whether we're going to acquire some spray or have some training or get our local animal control phone numbers in our database, whatever that looks like. I want to challenge you based on this difficult situation. What would you do in the future if this occurred at your church? Thanks for joining me. I hope you'll like and subscribe and take a look at this video as the next one in your journey in church security.